WN. Merry Christmas. Can we still say Merry Christmas, Bill Cole? I think we can. I'm heading to California where it won't feel like Christmas, but it might feel like Festivus if the Ravens can move the ball. This has been a fascinating unfolding of the Purple Journal, right? Like, if there is a Purple Rain 3 to write at any point, this would be an interesting twist and turn of a month now for football around here, right?
Yeah, good to be with you. So maybe this is legitimately disrupting the way the NFL plays football. Like, maybe. Like, kind of thought it was maybe just this little chicanery and, keeping people off base.
You mean all that, it's a passing league, Bill. It's a passing league, right.
Right. I mean, maybe this is a legitimate disrupting way that he's throwing enough crazy stuff, and I think you got to have a backup quarterback that is almost as good at it as your starter is, because I don't think they make 16 games, but if they're just running, the pool of guys that can do that is probably bigger. So, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I've moved off of totally not really thinking this was a thing to okay,
Oh, I think we all began with this can't be a thing. The quarterback runs and leads with his head 22 times a game,
right.
And the day he leaves on a stretcher, or the day he can't play, or the day his ankle, whatever happens, we'll all look and nod at each other and say, "Yep, I knew it was going to happen," right? I mean, because that's just sort of, I don't know, the way fans are, and at heart, you and I are fans. So I've got a theory. Are you ready to go deep dive with me, Bill Cole, today on a this is a sports theory. I have not confirmed it. I don't know it to be true at all. I want to work it out on you, okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, but before you theorize, just one thought about it is, like, all the guys in the past, Mike Vick, for example, they weren't doing all the stuff that we're doing. Right, it was kind of the same offense, and then if things broke down,
no. Michael Vick was trying to they were trying to make him a 5 to 7 step drop guy to open the field up to fan out the defensive players coming at him, which would obviously open a hole because the more space there is, the less of an angle they would have at him, and then he could break free to either scamper 24 yards for a first down and try to get out of bounds, or run 8 yards wide and then cut your heart out hitting the tight end on a crossing seam 32 yards down the field, because Michael Vick threw the ball. Like, I do not see this kid throwing the ball anywhere near as well as Michael Vick threw the ball. So, but here's my theory. This is more of something that I'm going to have to ask analytics nerds and Sig Meidel, and maybe this comes from spending a long Thanksgiving weekend with Astro Ball and really rethinking as a 50-year-old baseball in the way that I rethought it when I read Moneyball, right? I mean, like, literally. So with football, we're rethinking this now because this is working in a very short sample size, right? So the people that want to be derogatory toward this offense, and I've heard, and look, I don't watch a ton. I mean, first off, I never watch Fox Sports 1 for obvious reasons. I rarely watch ESPN. I can watch NFL Network when my partner is on, or when Brian Baldinger is on, or when somebody is saying something sensible. When Dion is screaming, or when Michael Irvin's being a maniac, or when it's two meatheads arguing with each other, I'm out.
Right.
When it's Skip Bayless is involved, I'm out. When Stephen A. I'm out. So I can't do any of that because it just insults my intelligence. So I don't know that anybody else has talked about this. The really smart people about football that I know in the game or even out of the game, the Doug Farrars, and I haven't talked to Peter King about this. I haven't talked to Jason Cole, but I'm going to, okay? This is my new thing, and maybe it's been written in 5 books, and somebody will say, hey, dumbass, here's a book on football. Go read about it, okay? So I'm literally just throwing this out because I feel like I know a lot about football, but there are people that are scientists, So here we go. My theory on this is that there's a baseball theory. Did you read Moneyball? Let's start with that, Bill.
No.
But you are familiar, maybe the movie.
I understand enough, yeah.
The theory of Moneyball was, at heart, a market inefficiency, right? And the market inefficiency was on-base percentage. That on-base percentage was wholly and almost completely devalued by batting average, home runs, the eyeball test. He's a 5-tool player. all the skull they're chewing, you know what I mean? All of that stuff, the steroids they're injecting, all of that went into and old ideologies and, give me the bunt, move the runner over, and give me the 3-run homer and hit the cutoff. All those things my dad taught me in Colgate Little League in 1974. So the book's premise and Billy Beane's premise was that the market inefficiency was how can we better utilize our money to get more players on base to extend innings because they're not outs, they're walks. And we only get 27 outs. That's the scarcity of what we do, 27 outs. So let's move to football. And just on a global scale, every time they go into the huddle, the number one question is what, Bill? I'm not trying to put you on a spot, but I'm just trying to break this down. The number one question is what is the down and distance, right? The down and distance will determine everything about every football play. Without a down and distance, you can't have a play. Without a down and distance, you won't have a package. Without a down and distance, the defense won't have a package, right? Not even a good guess. There is a different thing the defense will do on 3rd and 15 than 3rd and 1, than 3rd and 7, literally, and the same thing for the offense. So if the game is about down and distance in every single thing you do, every decision you make will be based on what are we trying to do? We're trying to get from here to there in 4 plays so that we can continue possession of the football. And I think this Lamar Jackson thing, and it's early on, and you can shoot arrows at me because it's the first time I've said it on the radio. I've said it to a few friends. I've said it to my wife. I've thought about it on a couple of airplane rides because this has only been going on 5 weeks, and it's being successful in lots of different ways, and I'm trying to get that out of Eric Weddle and Marshall Yonda when I stand next to them. I have not asked John Harbaugh a question because I don't think he'll give me an honest answer. That's me being honest, and I would tell that to him. I'll text that to him. Until I can get an honest answer on this, I don't know that I want to ask anyone, but I think the market efficiency here, and I'm going to talk to Luke about this, and I'm going to have him go through the Ravens down in distances over the last 5 weeks and what that's allowed this offense and Marty Morningweg to call, what packages that has allowed onto the field, and more than that, everything that happens after that, Bill, right, becomes a 7-minute possession. And a lot of times we're scoring touchdowns, right, and that's awesome. And if we had scored field goals in other games, Atlanta, Kansas City, specifically on the road, if you hold the ball 6 minutes and 51 seconds like New Orleans did when they came in here on that first drive and got to the 1 and didn't score, that's death, right? That's not good. But down in distance in the new model is always second and something I like. And if it gets to third, it's third and something I really like. They're manageable down in distances with an offense that always has the capability to get you 6, 7, 8 yards and rarely, if almost never, puts you in 2nd and 14 or 2nd and 16 the way, as Brian Billick once said here 20 years ago, that Barry Sanders often did. Barry Sanders often put the Detroit Lions in 2nd and something ugly. And Lamar Jackson, go back over the last 5 weeks, dude, we're always in 2nd and 3. We're always in 2nd and 4, and that is a different game. It's like walking in baseball. It's a different game when you get 4 more base runners a game. So there, have at it. That's my theory, and I want someone to shoot it down because it's just a stupid mad scientist theory, but I really do think that that's why this is working.
Okay, let's see.
Okay,
so here's
I'm going to drink some coffee, some Royal Farms coffee out of my cold roofing mug, okay?
Couple statements that will scrub against your theory here. Understand that every play that an offensive coordinator / guru draws on the board, if run properly, scores a touchdown. That's not a joke.
You're right.
That is totally legitimate. Like, if everybody does exactly what I draw on the board, we score a touchdown. There is a chance, and I think that theory goes back from the beginning of time in football. There's a possibility that if you changed your thinking to, if they all go perfect, they're all touchdowns. We know that's not true. So which ones of these has the highest percentage of almost being a touchdown or for always providing positive yardage. So to your point, right? Like, no, our goal isn't to score a touchdown.
Our goal is to keep the ball away from you.
Right.
Yeah, our goal is to keep the ball away from you, tire the hell out of your defense from chasing us around all day. And in the fourth quarter, if we've got you down by 7 points and we've got the ball, we're going to run it down your throat for 6 more minutes because we got a fat back over here and a scat back over there and a tight end breathing down on your tired safeties and linebackers with 8 minutes left to go when it's 28 degrees out. And we're hoping this kid can throw the ball 12 yards accurately when he needs to. But, look, I turned to Luke in the rain the other day. It was 3rd and 7, and I elbowed him. I'm like, running down, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And he's like, no, it's a passing down. I'm like, well, the defense thinks so. So they're going to put a passing defense in, and we're going to spread things out, and we're still going to run the ball. And I don't know, dude. I've never really watched Navy play. I watched Alton Grizzard play in 1989 when I covered the team for 5 minutes against BYU and Lavelle Edwards, who came in off the mountain out in Provo and was still trying to throw it around 58 times with one of the Detmers. You know what I mean? Like, that's been football all my life. It's been how do we get the ball in the air? I mean, my partner, Brian Billick, you know the words, verticals, right? Explosives, all of those things, right? This is not that. This is, We're going to keep the ball 7 minutes. Your $25 million quarterback and your $18 million wide receiver and your fat left tackle who you're paying $18 million to protect your quarterback, great. You're going to get 45 plays. You're going to get 6-7 possessions, and our defense is going to get you off the field before your defense gets us off the field. And that's how we're going to play. And, you think we're playing chicks dig the long ball on the 3-run homer? F you. We're going to bunt, and we're going to run your ass ragged. And we're going to shift you, and we're going to full count you, and that's how we're going to play the game. And that's how we're going to play it right now because it's left-handed, and you can't play left-handed. And that for 5 weeks against mostly bad teams, and even the teams that have good offenses, Kansas City and Atlanta on the road, the idea is we're going to do what Tom Brady was doing with those footballs up in Foxborough, but we're not going to use a needle to do it. We're going to use the weather. We're going to use this kid's legs while he's young, sexy, and 21, right? Like, literally, because and when he's 31, he's going to look more like Michael Vick. You know what I mean? Like, you've got him, smoke him. You know what I mean? If this is where you're going to roll the next 24, 36 months, and you don't have to pay a quarterback $25 million? Right. You know what I mean? That's the formula here that I'm seeing in whatever Moneyball Eric DeCosta's trying to write. Because this is not contemporary. This is not normal. But I don't think this is a wave of the future. I think this is a fad like disco that, go make Saturday Night Fever if you can. Literally, right?
All right, so the next statement, right? So the first statement was, we're not really planning for touchdowns. We're planning for 7 yards, right? And we're
on first down. On first down.
On second down, on third down, it doesn't matter. If I get 7 most of the time, 7 plus 7 is more than 10.
All I got to do is get 7 twice in 4 plays, and I win. Yeah. And you never get the ball.
So we're only, so we're going to prioritize the plays that have the highest chance of getting us 7, right? The next rule says, and this is like high school football in its, purest sense. If we get a penalty or we mishandle the football and we go backwards, we're dead, we're going to punt, that's not good. So we can't hold, we can't jump off sides, we can't have an illegal formation, and these are all things.
And we can't fall behind because of that. If any of those things cause us to be down 13-3, early in the second quarter in Carson on Saturday night, our season is in peril.
Right, but if those are things that when you're running the ball and you don't have to practice all the passing game, right? Like, say you pare the passing game down to 15%, and you look at your week's practice, and you only have to dedicate 15% of your practice time to passing, you now have all this time that was freed up to make sure that we're getting our formations right, to make sure that we get our motions right, to make sure we get our counts right. We can even dumb down the count and eliminate the idea that our left guard jumps offside because Joe claps and then the other guy smacks the center on the butt, and then he lifts his leg, and then he yells Omaha, and then the ball comes out. So we can even dumb that down, knowing that it causes undue risk on our plan. So the second rule is you can't have negative plays, right? And I think that leads itself to, these are professional football players, and, it's more likely that you're going to hold when you're trying to pass block than when you're trying to run block, unless you get to the edges, right? And that's when the guys grab them because they're trying to run on the edge, and the defensive end gets outside of them, so they grab them. But you know what? We're running a run game that says, whichever way they go. Right? If he wants to go outside,
it's counterintuitive because you can scheme it up all day, but you can't catch him.
Yeah.
You can know where to be, and then you have to catch him or the guy he's going to pitch the ball off to. But, part of this whole pitching and catching and wet weather, and the ball's going to wind up on the ground, man. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. And you have to be willing to live with that, and your defense has to hold to a 3 or whatever it is at that point. But the ball is going to wind up on the ground playing football in this fashion. It just is.
But Moneyball says the ball's going to wind up on the ground significantly less if I'm running it than if I'm throwing it. Right? So the statistical data, the math says, 10% of the time, right? Like the numbers are infinitely lower when you're running than when you're throwing for something bad to happen.
To me, if you're playing the numbers on all of this in an analytics way, that's where all of this begins and why it's working. I don't think it's an accident, but I don't think it's a design either, right? Like, what do they say? The guy that created the stuff that never sticks was the 3M stickies or whatever, right? The super glue. So, I would say at this point...
It might not have started that way. But
I don't think anybody on Halloween thought, well, if this thing works perfectly, this is how it's going to work, and this is how we're going to win these games and be going out to California Christmas week with a chance to win the division, quite frankly. I don't think anybody thought that at 4-5 from where the Steelers were and where they are now, and who knows what Steelers team's going to show up in New Orleans. But I'll say this.
It would have been nice if the Patriots would have showed up, but because that really wasn't in the plan. So anyway.
Well, I mean, my war with Belichick and Brady continues. I mean, as always, right? But I would say for this offense, all of the ancillary positive things that have happened in regard to the defense, plays on the field, rest for Suggs and Weddle and Mosley and everybody else. It has been a dreamy scenario, and I think things have happened here that have even taught John Harbaugh things or taught the Ravens front office things, and they're probably seeing statistical things that they never would have known because I don't know whose idea this was, right? Like, I'd love to know, like, when they really thought, if we draft that guy, how are we going to use him? Why are we going to use him that way? And I really still think that their whole notion for 6 months was the hybrid offense of 70% Joe, 30% Lamar, and that's still, for me, would be their best chance to go and beat the Houston Texans the second week of January, if that's what they have to go do. And the more people I talk to and the more mojo I see being around the team, dude, I don't know if they're losing 27-16 with 11 minutes left to go on Sunday, that they're not still running left and running right. I don't know that they're going to tap Joe on the shoulder again. I've stopped believing that. I've stopped believing that for some reason.
Yeah. In the second quarter, there was a time period where I started to think that, like, they scored
the
one more
season's
time
on the
here.
line. The season's on the line with every drive, right?
So I think we're going to see Joe. I think they're going to run Joe out here. But, to give them credit, they stuck to the plan and it worked out. There's one more piece that I want to talk about your theory, right?
Sure.
In this whole Moneyball concept.
Because my theory's stupid, probably, but it's not in reality.
It sure is fun to talk about. So the other thing about Moneyball that worked was the play, because of the market and the way people had valued home run hitters and all the other things you mentioned, you got a discount on the guys that fit your model.
Well, that was the market inefficiency, because the one thing Oakland lacked was money.
Sure.
They didn't have the money.
And that's the same premise if you're operating in a salary cap world where I need an advantage, right? Because if I have to stay within the cap and I got to pay this guy or that guy because I really want to play great defense, then how am I going to be efficient and effective from a cost standpoint on offense?
Well, from a cost standpoint, I would just say this. If you're paying your quarterback $30 million, he better be a difference man. I mean, a real.
Sure.
And I don't mean, it's no disrespect to Joe Flacco or Matt Ryan or Cam Newton or Jameis Winston. It doesn't matter who any of these guys are. But if you've got a $30 million quarterback, he better look like Tom Brady or something like that and not like Matt Stafford, because I can find a kid coming out of the draft to go run around out there and do this a different way. And the thing that he does the worst, which is throw the football, because if he had to throw the football 42 times and drop back and pass and look like Matt Ryan, he would fail miserably. In the same way Matt Ryan would fail miserably if he had to run off tackle 22 times a game. So, I mean, it really is just taking what they have and saying, well, if we can put more money into our defense, if we could have Khalil Mack and, Lamar Jackson for the next 24 months, and if we suck, we're going to get fired anyway and lose our gig and, draft third, and we'll go take our chances on our Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen or whatever it's going to be at this point. I admire the moxie of all of this, but the problem is they still have a $25 million quarterback who can throw the ball better than just about anybody on the planet. I mean, honestly, he throws the ball better than Tom Brady, for crying out loud. So he's sitting over there with a helmet on and the rain beads coming off his helmet while the team's losing. I don't. This is a really, this is why John Harbaugh makes the big bucks, right? I really don't know how this plays out when they fall behind, because let's be honest, Bill, if they don't ever fall behind again, I'll see you in Atlanta and we're going to win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, there's going to be a week they're going to be losing late and need the guy that can throw the football. For all sorts of reasons. And the guy who's Joe Cool, and the guy who's got a Super Bowl ring, and the guy who, if you're Ozzie Newsome, Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, Marshall Yanda, if you're any of those guys, you're like, there's Joe over there, and he's kind of upright and healthy. What are we doing here? So I can question all of this if it fails, but while it's succeeding, hey, it's the greatest idea ever, right? Let's play Lamar, right?
Yeah, one other thing that if you're going to apply the science and statistics and all that, you're going to have to dismiss the concept that the great quarterback is what wins you the Super Bowl. And you go through the statistics, and because of Tom Brady, and probably because it's a small sample size, and because I don't think anyone's really committed to trying to do it in a different way, other than maybe the Ravens in 2000. Nobody, the stats say great quarterbacks win Super Bowls. But like I said, I'm not sure that the statistics are out there where someone has tried to do it differently and failed. People end up in that spot because they don't have a good quarterback, or he's average and they don't try and take advantage of other good players or other good things, and they can't think outside the box or be creative or any of that good stuff. So they just don't win the Super Bowl. But everyone in football knows that the secret recipe to winning the football is you got to have 2 or 3 future Pro Bowlers who aren't making any money yet, and you layer that on top of all the guys that you have to pay, and all of a sudden you're really good. Have a Russell Wilson who hasn't gotten paid yet. Have the players in the rookie contracts that
when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, Flacco, Pitta, Art Jones, Paul Kruger. I'm trying to think of the guys who were making nothing. Jimmy Smith was cheap.
Right.
Ray was even sort of cheap. Against the number, he wasn't much of a player, but he also wasn't making $20 million a year. He was making a fair number at that point. But there were a lot of guys that, Torrey Smith, performed way above their pay grade at that point, and that is how you win, right?
Sure.
He is Bill Cole. He's Cole. Tell me what Cole Roofing does real quick, and then we'll get back to sports and non-sports related issues here as we talk gingerbread and eggnog and all those other good things.
For just about 100 years, we've taken care of the commercial rooftops in Baltimore. So everything from a leak to a repair to new construction, commercial buildings to schools, hospitals, shopping centers, anything like that. If you have a commercial roof, we'd love to help you take care of it. And if you're curious about maybe some newer ideas that you can apply to roofing, we like to put plants or solar panels and other really cool stuff on them too.
He'll put a solar laser on your roof. He is Bill Cole. You can find him at Cole Roofing and ColeRoofing.com. All right, back into football here. Do you think we're going to be playing in a couple weeks? I mean, I've asked the question like about Flacco. Do you think he'll play? I've thought all along he's going to come in with a cape and save their ass. I mean, I still believe, and I'll always have the theory that if he doesn't come in, right, if he comes in and doesn't save their ass, oh, well, he's gone anyway. If he comes in and save, I get to say, see, I told you so. And if he never comes in, I'm like, well, Joe would have saved him, right? So, I've got the built-in. I can play all of the shell game on all of that. But they have to make these decisions on a sunny day, out in Carson as the sun sets over, over Long Beach on Saturday night. And if they survive that, Lord knows Brashad Perryman's coming back in here to slay the Giant and Baker Mayfield next week too. I went from believing 2 weeks ago they're going to do this to scoreboard watching my way into believing, well, what the hell have the Colts and the Titans and these other teams? The Ravens are in trouble now because I don't want to say they're in over their head going out there, but this is the kind of game. This is a playoff game in December. You lose this game, you don't get to play in January. You win it, and we might be playing at home 2 weeks from now, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think these are two really scary games, and I don't have the confidence that they're going to break our way. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if they do, but I also, would kind of understand if we lose them both, right?
Well, at heart, you don't feel like we're very good, right? Like literally, at heart, you don't think, well, this is a Super Bowl team.
No, I don't. I mean, it just, I did in September, so maybe I should trust that early.
Well, that quarterback's sample. No good. That guy, the guy who won the Super Bowl, we don't play him anymore.
Well, how about this? Like, what happens if you do win this week, and let's say you win against Cleveland, doing what we've been doing, running and playing defense, and then the first playoff game, the other team has to prepare for you, and all of a sudden, like, how effective could Joe be if the other team spent a week preparing for your crazy run game? And you run out there with their, three-headed wide receiver monster and Joe flinging the ball over the place.
I have said all along the hybrid offense is
to the tight end,
For 6 months, Marty Morningwig drew up plays for that. He drew up plays thinking 70 of this, 30 of this. We get in this situation and down and distance. This is a Lamar down. We get inside the red zone. This is a Lamar. All of that stuff. And they've thrown away the passing game and the protection of Joe because this has worked in a different way. It's worked to keep the other offense off the field, which better be the game plan. I mean, if I look down, I'll tell you right now, if Phillip Rivers is 18 for 27, then we're going to win the football game. Simple as that. If Phillip Rivers gets to throw the ball 45 times, it means bad things happen for us.
Right.
He is Bill Cole, Cole Roofing, and you can find him holiday season. And I'm stopping this 99 thing, okay? I mean, beginning next week, I'm going to 100 years with Cole Roofing, okay?
Very good.
Good, man. All right, anything non-sports related you want to get to for the holidays? Any Christmas chimney, anything like that, or no?
No, I mean, I don't want to be cliche, right? But
I feel like you've done your job for therapy for me this week. You've heard me out.
You go through Thanksgiving and everybody talks about what are you thankful for, and I think the only thing I'm trying to live, but maybe not doing the best job, is that this holiday season is really about the season, and it's such a rush, and it's all crazy, and end of year, and all kinds of good stuff, that you really don't get a chance to actually soak in the holiday season, and the next thing you know, it's over, And it's really not the crescendo with the climax at the end. It's really just the whole time period. And that's the hard part to try and stay focused on.
Well, it all starts right now because no work's getting done beginning like now and through Christmas, right? I mean, Ravens play on Saturday night. You get Sunday to your, this is going to feel like 5 Christmases this weekend, I think, because nobody's going to do anything on Friday, and it's just going to sort of linger and meander. Nobody's going back to work at the end. We're coming into a nice little period here, and I just hope that we wake up on Sunday morning, the season's still alive. That's all, especially for all those people that have purple Christmas trees in Baltimore, right?
Right. Well, that certainly would make it more fun, no doubt about it.
Enjoy your eggnog, my friend. We'll see you next week, all right?
I appreciate it.
Merry Christmas to you and yours. Bill Cole, Cole Roofing, 99 and 11/12 years. They 100 years, 1919. So we're going to be celebrating that and celebrating both my parents were born in 1919. So 1919, I gave Bill the John Dos Passos speech 2 weeks ago. Where were you? You missed that one. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I do some group therapy with Cole Roofing and all of my sponsors. I am on the march for new sponsors like Bill Cole. If you want to be part of what we do here at WNST.net after 27 years now of doing sports radio, we'd love to hear from you. Throw me an email, nasty at WNST.net. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel, and always out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. 24 hours a day. You can listen to anything we've done here this week. Lots of post-Oriole managerial Brandon Hyde hiring, as well as getting you ready for football all weekend long. Some Terps basketball. Get ready for the new year. I've mixed some of my Tony Robbins stuff in here. I'm going to mix some rock and roll in. You're going to hear some cool stories through the holidays. And you can always find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. All that stuff is there. Appreciate Buy a Toyota and our friends at Toyota and PivNet for partnering with us yet again in 2019. So big thanks to them. Also, Strategic Factory, creating your masterpiece. If you need promotional goods, marketing, they call it swag, but it's how you keep the engines running with your business. They have a strategy at Strategic Factory. Learn more about what they do at strategicfactory.com. Also, our friends at Pizza John's. They've been doing it 50 years like me. 1968. Some of us weren't born in 1919 like my parents and Cole Roofing. Pizza John's since 1968. It says so right there in the logo. I highly recommend the ravioli. I had not tried the ravioli at Pizza John's, but I have. It's really hard to go to Pizza John's and not get the pizza. Trust me, I know that. And then, I'm a cheesesteak guy, too, so I get a cheesesteak. So it's harder to move down the menu. The French fries are phenomenal. They got ice cream. They got beer. They got wine. The games are on. Get on out to Pizza John's in Essex. You know where it is, back River Neck Road. 50 years of deliciousness. The morning newspaper delivers digitally to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com. 5 down, 10 a month. And then you don't need a resolution for 2019 to get in shape. You pass a Planet Fitness every day. Stop in, see what all the magic's about there, and learn about why they're the fastest growing way in America, around the world as well, to get you in shape. Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com. Get some inspiration at planetoftriumphs.com. Dennis is in on Thursday this week. Get ready for the holiday. It's going to be rebroadcast on Saturday. So it's a Sunday Sports Voice live on Thursday, heard on Saturday. And you can, of course, follow Dennis at the SSV on WNST. They sponsor our WNST Tech Service. And that brings you breaking news. So you'll get all the scratches, injury reports, anything weird happens during the game, you get a text. It is the WNST Tech Service. Very proud of that. We're the best at it, and it's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.